There will never be another OS player like Adamqs. A player who got his start by exploring a niche skill set and would add on more the longer that he played. A player who would casually push what was considered the human limits whenever he got bored. A player who ultimately decided to delete his own account after he had been one of the best players in the game for half of a decade. Anyone who was there for his prime will tell you that when he wanted a score, he wouldn't stop until he got it. Here's the story of Adamqs. Adam is a Polish player who found OS online when playing games with his brother in late 2010. He created his account Adamqs, or Adamqs, on the 22nd of December and would dedicate much of his time to improving over the coming months. Back in these early years of the game, there was no performance ranking, so players mainly tried to compete for high positions on the beatmap leaderboards. To gain more score, some would try with different difficulty increasing mods to potentially take the map's #1 position. It wouldn't take very long for Adam to reach the point where he was using several mods to reach these high spots on leaderboards. Most notably, Adam took a particular liking to the flashlight mod, which reduces the visible area to around the player's cursor. Adam would find that he had quite a knack for memorizing maps, so he could secure many #1s by playing a map dozens of times using flashlight. Dumping hundreds or even thousands of plays into single beatmaps and spending hours per day playing truly showed his dedication. It didn't matter if the map was 2000 combo and 5 minutes long, if he gave it enough attempts, he could do it with flashlight. Of course, he would work on other skill sets as well, having some very good hidden, hard rock and double time plays to show. Because of the time period where he joined, he would build skill for playing older maps too, which are known for being unconventional. Starting to gain notoriety, some people would accuse him of cheating, which was common for flashlight players back then. Adam would at some point change his username to Worst FL Player, a very ironic username when looking at his numerous #1 positions with the mod. After countless hours poured into OS, Adam would find himself considered as one of the best players in the world by 2013. It wouldn't be long until controversy began to brew. As one of Poland's best players, Adam was inducted into his country's team for the OS World Cup 2013, or so he thought. In early 2014, Adam would try to beat a #1 score held by Rarucci, but just couldn't seem to get it. After numerous tries and hours on this single map, he was getting scores with higher accuracy but just couldn't seem to beat it. Upset by this, he would use cheats to get this #1 and was promptly banned. Tarnishing his reputation amongst players by cheating, he realized the error of his ways quickly and apologized to OS staff. Luckily, they seemed forgiving and he was unbanned only a week or two later, but this only riled up the player base more as they saw it as favoritism. The average person would have to wait 6 months before even having a chance to appeal, so it looked as if pro players could just cheat and get away with it with almost no punishment. In the midst of all this, Adam would start creating and playing on multiple accounts, which is strictly against OS rules. Having enough of his trouble, staff would do something very rare and lock Adam out of his account, which is a punishment worse than being banned. They would scramble the email and password on the account so your profile would sit there forever, with no way for you to access it. This multi-accounting activity would continue as he now had no way to officially compete in OS online, making his chances of returning all but nil. As time passed, the sentiment against them began to fade, and staff ended up reforming the system for bans and restrictions to be more impartial. Adam would never stop playing, and he would continue to push his skill higher and share his scores with the community via social media. Almost every week he would make posts alluding to him quitting the game, but he always seemed to end up playing OS again the next day. Never one to train speed very hard, Adam would find another niche by using his finger control and aim control to play slower yet more spaced alternate maps. He would also practice often with the hidden and hard rock mods, especially on maps which had smaller circles and required more precise aim. Legend would start to spread of a player whose skill level was quote-unquote top 15 in the world, but could only play offline. Many people wanted to see Adam come back online once more, including Adam himself as he began email correspondences with staff once more. 2 whole years would go by until August 16th, 2016, when his account was finally unlocked. Continuing his progress from offline, Adam would do nothing but set score after score, more than making up for the time he was locked out. His inactive account was already very highly ranked, but with fresh records he would soar back up to the top 50, then top 25. Setting hidden hard rock plays on many maps, he would take home many number 1 positions in high PP plays as well. Almost every classic HDHR map from this era that you can think of, Adam ended up playing and doing very well on. Peaking at number 17 in the global ranking, he definitely lived up to the hype from before his unlock. Often feeling capped in skill due to trouble tapping higher BPM maps, Adam had to turn to other avenues to stay competitive and push his limits. One staple of his gameplay which blew players' minds at the time was his double time plays on the aforementioned alternate style maps. Taking the already notorious style of mapping and making it faster, he showed his further aptitude for flow aim, aim control, and finger control. Playing maps that were CS7+, Adam also became possibly the best precision player in the world at that time, able to click even the smallest circles. This overlapped greatly with his love of older maps, including many which he would play over again, eventually adding extra mods in the process. Going headfirst into the world of AR11, he would even start playing 3mod and taking number 1s with a combined hidden, hard rock, and double time score multiplier. Finally, it wouldn't be Adam without more flashlight plays, which he would still commonly grind on maps of his choosing. The thing that made him different was these skills weren't separate. Adam would go for the most ridiculous, high-end, human limit-breaking combinations of skill sets imaginable. Although they aren't conventionally what you would think of as boundary pushing, they were groundbreaking for underrepresented skill sets. Take the example of Agony, a 2007 map which has awkward patterns and very small CS7 circles. Naturally, Adam played it and FC'd it with hidden hard rock flashlight, making the map CS 9.1 and in turn making the patterns even more difficult, all while memorizing the entire 3.5 minute map. Or you can talk about potentially the most famous Adam play, his hidden hard rock double time FC on Wing My Way. Another older map which effectively became an alternate map with the speed up. The patterns were so spaced from CS 6.5, the circles appearing so fast at AR11 and the hit window so tight due to OD11 that no one would have thought to attempt this kind of score at all, and yet he FC'd it. Even dipping his toes into other mods like Easy, he would FC maps like Odd Loop with Easy Flashlight. Just setting whatever sorts of scores he wanted to after grinding for days or even weeks. This was where Adamqs shined. There's an endless list of interesting plays with what feels like almost every mod combination you could dream of. Even though they were lesser known in the general public, for many top players, Adam became one of the most revered and feared players ever. Many of the scores mentioned inspired others to grind their own niche skill sets or go for their own ridiculous plays. He remains possibly the best example that almost any score is achievable with enough grinding. Adam's activity was always sporadic, and his threats of quitting always in vain, so come late 2019, nobody suspected anything. On October 10th, however, his account was fully deleted upon an EU General Data Protection Regulation removal request from Adam himself. It looked like for whatever reason he was finally ready to move on from the game, and went about it in the most permanent way possible. All of Adam's scores, replays, and all other data tied to his account were deleted, and it seemed as if he had officially quit the game for real. At least until he continued posting scores on social media, showing that even without an account, he's still drawn to play OS. Nowadays, it seems like he's content doing his own thing, even without his account. It's safe to say that for his entire playing career, Adam went for the most unique plays with the most niche skill sets. Heralded both in his time and since as a revolutionary player who pushed human limits in imaginative ways, it's hard to imagine anyone filling his shoes. While players since have worked hard to become some of the best in their own niches, none have quite been able to reach the command of various skills that Adam did only a few years back. Maybe part of it comes down to his insane work ethic on OS, sitting down for hours at a time to attempt scores. Regardless, many of his insane records remain completely unmatched while players try to catch up to his level. I think because of all this, we can safely say there will never be an OSU player like Adamqs.